All right, guys, for those of you just joining now, we're going to wait a little bit to see if anybody else joins, but it's pretty late, so I doubt it, but just in case, we're going to wait. So all we're doing today is unboxing the Z Fold 6. Obviously, I'm pretty behind everybody else, but figure I'd still give you guys an early unboxing. This is just going to be an unboxing, not going to be a review. I might boot it up, but that's about it. I'm not really going to set it up in this video. And then once I get the unboxing done, I'll do a separate video. I probably won't live stream the whole setup process. I'll just actually make an edited video. But for this, I figured I could just do a live stream to show you guys. So I'll give it another minute maybe, and then I'll go ahead and get the unboxing going. That way, if anybody wants to watch the VOD afterwards, they'll be able to. So since I'm traveling right now as well, I'm out of my home state. I had originally pre-ordered the limited edition, carbon fiber version of this phone online. And you know what? I'll jump behind the camera actually, or in front of the camera. So if you're wondering what the different, let me just make sure I don't get any calls here. All right. So I'm out of my home state right now. I'm on the road. Let me make sure can you guys see me? Well, if no one's watching, you're not going to be able to tell. I'm going to just adjust the camera a little bit. And I'm probably turning this light off. Okay. Let's see. Where's my head? Let's just do a quick check here. Yeah, I'll bring it up a little bit. There we go. All right. Looks like somebody joined. Thank you for joining. Feel free to share the stream, comment. So, as I was saying, I am currently on a cross-country road trip right now, and so I'm not at home. And so I had pre-ordered the Z Fold 6, and I had set it to be delivered to a friend's house where I'm staying. However, my both my credit card company, my bank, and Samsung themselves canceled my order. And I was like, what the hell's going on here? I placed the order, it's all my information's verified. So I went in, I did it again. And even though at this point they were saying, the delivery date would be way later. And I'm like, okay, I'm still gonna be here, so I'll place the order again. I placed the order again. They canceled it again in like 3 hours. So I was like, all right, this is not gonna work. And then by this point, right, because the limited stock they had online for that limited edition color was sold out, they were now estimating it was going to be, like a month. And I'm not going to be here for a month. So I'm like, okay, I got to find somewhere else to get one. So I go to Best Buy. Of course, Best Buy doesn't have the limited edition color, but that's fine. I don't need to get the limited edition color. So I'm at Best Buy and I go on their website and I order the blue one, which is what this is. But guess what? They cancel my order too. And then I get another notification, even though I already told my bank, hey, listen, I'm going to be ordering this thing. I'm not at home right now. Please just let the transaction go through. So finally, I give up on all that stuff. I drive to the local Best Buy shop, Best Buy store, and I place a in-person order with the guy behind the counter. And that seems to actually work. And I don't have any further issues. But as a result, that's why this is so late. Because not only did I not get the pre-order to work on Samsung's website, I tried twice there and even once at Best Buy. And originally Best Buy was going to deliver, that first order I placed, they were going to deliver on the same day as Samsung was for all the on-time pre-orders, right? For the directly from Samsung.com. Well, when they messed up, when they canceled my first order with Best Buy, it pushed back my delivery date like 2 or 3 days. So that's why we're here right now. So anyway, I think we still got one viewer. if anyone else joins, you can just rewind, or you can leave some comments. If I look off to the right, by the way, it'll just be me checking on comments and that sort of thing. But anyway, let's just open it up. Like I stated, and by the way, if you hear any noises in the background, that's my pet dove. So if you hear bird noises, that's what that is. Don't freak out. If you're just joining now, I'm only going to be doing a quick unboxing. This is not going to be an elaborate, drawn out, oh, here's the software and walking through the features and stuff like that. This is just going to be an unboxing. So with that being said, let's get into it. Now, if I remember correctly, what this is the blue version. This is a 1 terabyte. I know that. I got the 1 terabyte model. And it is the blue version. Now, the box is upside down, but I have shipping information on the front, so it was just easier than trying to peel off all the information. Just make sure there's no information in there. Alright. So, that is the box. And there is the back. As you can see how thin it is, you know there's nothing in here. So, honestly, shame on you, Samsung, for not including pretty much anything these days. Not to rant, but why does it seem like Samsung will make fun of Apple for something they're doing and then basically do it like a year and a half later and then quietly delete those videos and those ads from their YouTube channel? I mean, that's basically what they've done. They did it with the headphone jack. They did it with the SD card. They did it with the no charger in the box. I mean, at this point, they are the demon they swore they would never be. So, but anyway, this is the 1 terabyte model. I'll correct you, by the way. I thought it was the blue one. It is the Silver Shadow color. So that's the color on this one. And I will tell you briefly, I'll give you before we open this, the changes, as far as I'm aware, there's the 2 big ones that I care about, although I still feel like this is a very underwhelming change. Upgrade, rather. The wide-angle camera is improved, so that is nice, because the wide-angle camera on my Z Fold 5, it is noticeably worse, and especially in low light, it does not perform well. And then it is thinner. Don't care about that at all. It's boxier. I could take that or leave it as well. The front display is slightly wider, and then the inner screen has a more square aspect ratio. I actually don't like that, and I'll explain more later, but let's just say that a square aspect ratio hasn't been very applicable or useful since TV and video was still made in a 4:3 aspect ratio, right? So ever since everything went widescreen, and all the media apps and games you're going to use are widescreen, the more square the inner display is, the less useful it is for content consumption and even app usage. So there's that. But the big improvement that a lot of your, super big channels have basically just completely glossed over, which I think is actually pretty significant, is the IP rating. So these used to be rated, like this Z Fold 5 is rated IPX8, meaning it's almost as water resistant as possible. I mean, you can go to 9, but 8 is pretty good, right? I think you could submerge it in 6 feet of water, 6.6 feet of water for about 30 minutes, something like that, which is pretty good. However, the X, where the normal 6 and IP68 for the standard max rating on most phones would be, the reason there's no number there is because there's no official dust intrusion rating. Now they claim, it's got brushes and all kinds of other stuff in there that can help prevent dirt from getting in. But if you drop a Z Fold 5 in a bucket of sand and you open it even once, or even don't open it actually, and clean it off as soon as you take it out, there's still a good chance it's going to get all kinds of grit inside the actual mechanism, and you're not going to have a fun time. Your Z Fold will never fully open again. It probably will, always have a little angle to it, basically. So on this, they're now claiming, well, it's rated for IP 0.48, meaning same water resistance level. However, they've added a low but not insignificant amount of dust resistance to this thing. And I think that is a big improvement. Now, in all fairness, it is quite possible that that's the same thing that this was capable of, and they just weren't confident enough to get it rated, like for an official IP rating, because they have to, go through the testing process. And so this is just them, finally being ballsy enough to take it and get it actually rated for that. But I still like that there's an actual number. We can actually say, hey, they've done the testing and they said it's good for this. I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's a certain particle size that can't get in, and I would say it's not bad. I mean, 4 is more than halfway to 6. So while I still would not dump it in a bucket of sand, I think you can be much more confident about it surviving standard pocket lint than any of the folds that came before it. And while that hasn't been a major issue for me, because I always have some sort of chunky case like this with the hinge protection, which while not dust tight really does keep out the dirt pretty decently. Now you might feel, assuming you don't have anything else in your pocket, you might feel perfectly comfortable rocking one of these without a hinge protection case. So there's that. Well, I've blabbed long enough, so let's go ahead and see what comes in the box. Not a whole lot. What am I doing, guys? I mean, there are little pull strips on the back. I'm being an animal over here trying to chop it open with a knife. So there we go. And there is the Z Fold 6. See if you guys can see that. Again, there's nothing else in the box. I'm pretty sure next year they won't even include the USB-C cable, to be honest with you guys. I mean, it's insane to me, right? If they want to do that, I'm going to rant again for a second, so sorry if you guys don't want, you're going to have to wait until I finish ranting. If they don't want to do that on the S24, S24 Plus, and the S24 Ultra, even the Ultra, I'll say, that's fine. But with this thing starting at basically $2,000, it's insane to me that they don't include a charger of any kind. So that's just me. Maybe I'm being unreasonable, but I really don't think I am. Okay, let's take a look here. So yeah, it is very squared off. I'll give you that. Let me see what okay. Yeah, so this inner display. Oh, okay, interesting. So I don't know if the crease is any better this year. By the way, here you take a look at the side profile. You can see how much more square it is. Unfortunately, this thing is in a case that has the adhesive on it, so it's not going to be easy to remove. But just trust me when I say it's more square. I'm going to fold this in just a second, the first fold. Now, just looking at it out of the box, I can say, wow, that crease looks way less noticeable. However, what I found is every year I do that, every year I see one of these brand new out of the box, I'm like, wow, they really improved the crease. And then I fold it once or twice, and the crease is almost exactly the same. So I'm not going to make any judgments on how good or bad, potentially, the crease is until I've had the phone and used the phone for at least a couple weeks, right? Once I've done that, I'll be more comfortable in giving you my assessment on, did they really make the crease any smaller or less noticeable, or is it really just that it's new right now? In addition, let's see, SIM slot is on this side, I believe. That's the same area that the SIM slot is on the current one, or the old one, I guess. If we look at the camera array, they have just made so if you look on this one, my Z Fold 5, see if you can see that. The camera rings are, get a little closer there. They're pretty low profile and sleek, and they go right around it. However, on the new one, you'll see that they have a much larger circular surround. So like they have almost like a bezel around them. And let me tilt it just a little bit so maybe you can see it. And to be honest with you, I actually think I prefer the old camera setup. I'm sure these actually protect the cameras a little better. Although, okay, yeah, they are raised above the lenses, so that might actually help protect the camera a little bit better. Um, Looking at the exterior, another thing I'll say is, has the flash moved at all? Let's just take a quick look here. No. Okay. I will say, just a little gripe. One of the biggest improvements from the 4 to the 5 was when they moved the flash. So the flash used to be lower down on the camera. I believe it was like the camera bump extended down, and then the flash was down here. It seems like a little thing, but if you ever do use your phone as a flashlight, which while I always carry a flashlight, if I'm in my house in pajamas ready to go to bed, I'm not gonna have my flashlight on me, right? At that point, I might use my phone for a flashlight. If the flash is all the way down here, it actually ends up being blocked by your hand pretty easily. So them just moving it up here to me was just a little usability thing that really made a big difference. And it's the same spot on here now. Um, One of the things you'll notice just by looking at the camera bump is how thin this thing has become. And while I get it, everybody's always, they always want to market it as, oh, look, this year's is, 10 times thinner, or, and this, I mean, they can't do that anymore. It's more like 5 to 10% thinner. But at some point, I wish phone manufacturers would just accept the reality that most people don't care how thick the phone is, and they would gladly take a phone that had better battery life and more durability instead of just, oh, it's thinner, it's sleeker, it's nicer. And I mean, the reality is, them doing this is just a really cheap way of saying, hey, look, this is why it's different than the old one. And to me, while I think aesthetically it looks nice, they could do this same style design, but just make it thicker. And not only would that be better for having more space for a battery, but also, they tout this as a workhorse device. You can do all kinds of work on it. Well, you can do better cooling when you have more mass to work with and more interior volume. You can put a much bigger, vapor chamber and all that stuff. And actually, that might, if I remember correctly, that might be also one of the upgrades that they did on this as well, which is it's the first fold with a vapor chamber. You can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's another change that they did with this thing. But that's pretty much it. We will see if it boots up, and then there's really not much else. Okay, 1 second. I'll do a comparison here. So let me turn this off. Oh god, that is really, I probably should have cleaned this before I did the stream, but there is my Z Fold 5, which I've been using for over a year at this point, I think. And there's the Z Fold 6. And I'm going to try and tilt them such that you might be able to see the crease. Okay, you can see the crease on the 5. Can you see the crease on the 6? Let's see, hang on. Well, anyway, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but I mean, obviously the crease on the 5 looks a lot more pronounced. But if you just joined, I'll say, like I said earlier in the stream, every time I unbox one of these, I've had a Fold since the Z Fold 3, right? And every time I unboxed one of them, and I first opened it, I was like, wow, that crease is better than last year, right? Until I used it for like a couple days, and then after I folded it a couple times, it looked exactly the same as the previous year. So I'm not ready to make any judgment on whether or not this is actually better, because it might not be. So before we go, not only am I going to try turning it on real quick, I'm going to fold it a couple times, see how the hinge feels, because they claim that they did a lot of improvements with the hinge as well. They say that every year. And then I'm going to, after folding a couple times, we'll compare creases. I don't think it's going to immediately match the same depth of the crease on the Z Fold 5 just after a couple times, but we'll see. So let's go ahead and try and turn it on first to see if it has any power. Again, this is, if you just joined, it's not a setup. This is not a setup live stream. It's just the unboxing and just discussing my thoughts. I will be doing separate videos for the setup and then eventually a review and my thoughts on it and stuff like that. So this is, for now, is just going to be the unboxing. So it is booting up. It does seem to have power. Interesting. Let's see. All right. I'm not going to remove the front because, like I said, or maybe I didn't tell you guys actually. I'm going to put a screen protector on here, but has power. So let's go ahead and fold it a couple times now and see what I think about that. Okay. It still has that crinkly sound to it that a lot of people complain about. It's never really bothered me, but I can 100% understand how some people might find it a little cheap sounding because it can kind of sound like crinkling plastic when it opens and closes. Let's see if it does that again. Okay. Okay, it's not making the crinkling sound anymore. And the magnets that keep it closed are pretty solid. Now, I don't know if you remember or if I even talked about this in a previous video that I'd done on, or maybe it was a live stream. Maybe I did a live stream on it. But my Z Fold 4 had an issue with the hinge where it wouldn't quite stay closed as confidently as it probably should have. It would very lightly spring open. And that was from brand new out of the box. And it's funny actually because I tried to go through the Samsung Care process to get it replaced. They never replaced it. I just got lucky and it worked in a bit, and then after that, it was a little bit better, and then I just lived with it at that point. But there's none of that here. I mean, it very confidently closes. You get a clean kind of like a whoosh sound almost when you close it, like a very quick, clean, like plastic metallic clapping noise, if you want to call it that. And so it doesn't feel cheap at all. One of the things they touted as well was a drastic reduction in the size of the hinge. And yeah, I would say that's definitely noticeable. You know, that's fine with me. You know, like I was complaining a little bit earlier about how everything doesn't have to be thinner or smaller or whatever. But if they're going to make things thinner, this is where it makes a difference. Not, you know, you don't need to make the phone thinner. I really honestly don't care if the phone was 20% thicker, if it meant a bigger battery, better cooling, that sort of thing. Maybe I'm in the minority. You can leave that in the comments if you disagree with me. But for me, I would gladly take a phone that's 20% thicker for just better performance, better battery, all that stuff. Better cameras, right? Let's do a quick comparison on hinge. I would say, again, hard to do a comparison because this is a year old, but it feels much more even throughout the fold, right? So throughout the range of motion, starting from when it's flat, once you get past the initial tip in, because the initial tip in, there is still a little bit of a difference in the resistance, but once you get to about here, the rest of this range of motion, incredibly smooth. And then once you get to right before it closes, you'll feel the magnet starting to pull, and that's where it changes a little bit, but still quite smooth. If we compare, and I realize, like I said, this is in a case, so it's going to be a little difficult to see. If we compare the hinges, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but the hinge on the new one is noticeably smaller. I'm going to try and line that up with the camera. Let me see. So, new one is on this side, and obviously the Z Fold 5, the old one, is on my right, your left. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but it is smaller. And if we take a look, another subtle change, I don't know if it's good or bad. The speaker grills are no longer drilled slots. You guys can see that. The new one has just a slot on the bottom instead of a series of little holes. Yeah, okay, it's not going to come in. Let's see. Okay, yeah. It's not going to show up perfectly. I can probably show this in another video. But basically, on the bottom there where the speaker grill is, on the old one, it's a series of little drilled slots. On the new one, it's just one open slot. And while I might worry about things getting in there, as far as dust is concerned, that's going to be way easier to blow out with like an air duster than the old setup, for sure. I'm trying to think if there's any other exterior differences that I can see before I let you guys go. I don't really see anything. I love that they're continuing to keep the capacitive fingerprint sensor. I swear, every manufacturer, every Android, because obviously Apple ditched the fingerprint sensor on their phones once they switched over to Face ID. But all the Android phone manufacturers, as soon as Samsung, or I forgot who was it that did it first, decided to do the under-screen fingerprint sensor, everyone was like, oh, we got to do that. I mean, that's the future. It's better. It's infuriating because this is superior technology to the under-screen fingerprint sensor. Now they'll tell you, oh, it's the ultrasonic and it's super secure. And you know what? That might be true. That they finally got the under-screen technology, at parity with the capacitive capacitive sensor. But it's just never as fast as a capacitive sensor, and certainly not as accurate. I've had phones with capacitive. I've tested phones with capacitive sensors, like old ones. Obviously, like the Note 9 had a capacitive sensor, and all the Folds have had capacitive sensors. And then I've tested ones that have the ultrasonic, as well as I think they were like just visible light sensors. So they would just shine a bright light through the back of the screen, and then it would read the reflection of the image of your fingerprint, right? None of them even came close to the accuracy or the speed of your capacitive sensor. I mean, this is something that I can just, and that's the other thing too, is easy location, right? There is no tactile feedback telling you where the fingerprint sensor is on the screen. So yeah, you can be like, well, muscle memory, I know where it is. But let's be honest, right? If it's dark and you just want to be able to pull your phone out of your pocket and unlock it before you even look at it, you can't do that with one of those on-screen fingerprint sensors. You do have to glance down at least for a second to really get at least close enough to the sensor where it can, vibrate and tell you you're not close enough, basically, and give you enough feedback so that you put your finger in the right spot. With this, especially with a case that has like a little cutout on it, I never miss the sensor. And so the day they remove the capacitive sensor from the side of the Z Fold series, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to be so pissed, because that's one of the things I love about it. Like, I heard for several years now the rumors that Samsung's working on trying to get an ultrasonic sensor inside the Z Fold, and every time I see that, I'm just like, please don't do that. Please don't do that, because you're going to remove one of the selling points, the best features of the Z Fold series. It has a capacitive fingerprint sensor. So I've ranted enough, but that's just me, right? I'll be interested to see, actually. Okay. Hold on. I have both phones sitting side by side now. As you know, they have under-screen fingerprint, or no, they don't have under-screen fingerprint sensors. They have under-screen cameras for the inner display. I'm curious to see if the resolution of the overlay is any different. I haven't looked at the specs online, guys, but it doesn't look any different to me. I'm pretty sure that hasn't changed. So I'm going to try and show you guys what it looks like. There is... Oh, hang on. It unlocked. See, that's how good the fingerprint sensor is. Why is it unlocking? Hold on. Don't unlock. Alright. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get this thing to stay on long enough to show you. Alright. Well, that one's not going to stay on very long, but you can see it under there. Let's see. See if you can see that. Okay, there. I don't know if you saw that little flicker. Yeah, right there, that little circle. So that's basically the pixel overlay over the underscreen camera on the inner display. It looks exactly the same as last year. So if it did change it, it's, to me anyway, not a noticeable improvement. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We'll see. I'll tell you if there's anything else in the box. I'm pretty sure it's just going to be, you know, USB-C cable, SIM ejection, SIM slot, SIM tray ejection tool. Yeah, there's your USB-C cable. And I think I see the SIM slot tool. I won't even get to that. But I'll have to open on this side. Let's see. Guys, they don't make this easy. Hold on. Maybe I'm being stupid. I don't know. Alright. Okay, I'm going to pull it open from the bottom. That's probably what they want me to do. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yep. So, there's the SIM ejection tool. So, that's it, guys. That's all that comes in the box. Like I said, if you want to help me out with the channel and everything, just give the live stream a like, share it if you'd like, and get subscribed if you want to see, you know, my thoughts and future videos and a review on this thing. I realize, you know, there's plenty of other channels that you can go to get that sort of content, so I get it. But I do feel like since I'm not beholden to Samsung, they never send me anything. You know, I always buy the phones myself. I can give you a much more reasonable review. And that's something that I don't care if I strike lightning and the channel in a year has 1 million subscribers. Something I will never do is take deals where I am beholden to the company, especially about products that I'm going to be reviewing. Now, if I took a sponsorship for a product that I personally use, but it's not something that I review on my channel, I'm more comfortable with that because it's not like for example, I mean, if I see a channel that, let's say, reviews cars, and then their sponsor is, I don't know, back in the day, like Dollar Shave Club or, you know, whatever, right? Like one of these companies, that doesn't really bother me because it's not at all within their purview of what they review, right? So I don't feel that there's really any compromise with their integrity, because at the end of the day, their focus and their channel's main avenue is going to be car content. And so if it's not an automotive related product, I don't really see a conflict of interest as far as, you know, them taking a sponsorship. Now, your opinions might be different. I know some people just are against sponsorships completely, and that's fair, right? I totally understand why. Like I said, I don't even know if I would. I've never been in the privileged position to even make that decision. I've had products sent to me for review, but it was always made clear to them, if I can't be honest with you about the product and you can't be honest in the video, then I'm not doing the video, right? But for me personally, the only time I would probably take a sponsorship of any kind would be if it was something where the way the contract work would be, I have to be able to say no at any time. So basically, if it starts out being a great product, but then, you know, 2 months in even, they just start cranking out BS out of the factory, right? Just complete garbage. Then I'm done. Sponsorship's over, right? I'm not going to shill a product that sucks. And equally so, it needs to be something where I would say it's not really related to what I typically review. So, for example, I wouldn't take a sponsorship from Samsung because I review phones and I review technology. And if that were like, it's all, you know, it's all great when they make a great product and it happens to be great and the value's great and everything is magically great. But the reality is no device, no product in any field is perfect. And so once you take a sponsorship like that, even if like you're a creator that gets sent a device, but then also you buy your own device, you are still somewhat beholden in the sense that you're now going to feel obligated to say, well, I don't want to review this too harshly because then Samsung won't invite me to go to their, you know, exclusive influencer event, right? And I just would never want to be in that position because then what's the point, right? If I'm going to kiss ass to one of these companies or any of the companies, why would you watch videos like that? You might as well just go to Samsung's website and watch a couple of their ads telling you how great their stuff is, right? Or go to Apple's website and watch one of their self-aggrandizing videos about how amazing their company is and how amazing all their products are and how they invented everything, right? So that's where I'm trying to be with as far as reviews. So if you're interested in that, feel free to subscribe, give me a like, support the channel. If not, totally understand. But that's pretty much it. And stay tuned in the future for the setup and the review as well, and some of the software features I'll walk through, like, you know, all the AI features and stuff like that. I'm sure if you haven't seen them, you know, you might want my take on them, or even if you have, you might be curious. But a lot of that stuff is just, they're nice to have, but there wouldn't be a reason for me to buy this. And I'll be honest up front right now as well. If I didn't do YouTube videos and I didn't do reviews, I would not have bought this phone. I mean, this Z Fold 5 still working great. To me, there wasn't enough that was super compelling about it to upgrade. So, but since I do videos, I figured I would get it, and it'll give me a chance to really explore it. And when inevitably the Z Fold 7 comes out next year, it'll give me a really good platform to compare with, because I can see, did they really upgrade? Because Samsung is so set in just resting on their laurels at this point about, as far as folding phones are concerned. Now the Z Flip, they did improve it a little bit, but as far as their tablet style folds go, they have just been cranking out the same phone every year. And I hate to say that. I mean, there are some notable improvements in here, but it didn't warrant an entire new generation. Like, this is a, like, as far as, you know, if you know, like, the Apple and the iPhone world, right? This is like an S upgrade, right? And they've been doing S upgrades since the Z Fold 3. Like, the Z Fold 3 was the biggest improvement. You know, it got water resistance, got S Pen support, it got, you know, all that stuff, right? That was big. After that, I mean, they've just been not, pardon the pun, they've been phoning it in, right? I mean, it's just, and they know that because, you know, Huawei and all these other manufacturers, these Chinese makers, they can't easily penetrate the American market, or in some cases legally can't, right? And it's just been a lack of competition, and so they can just crank out the same crap every year with a, you know, oh, it's a little thinner, oh, it's a little, you know, and they get away with it because who else is selling, right? Who else is in the market? I mean, the Google Fold didn't really, it had its share of issues, and the Pixel Fold, and so they really need to do something big. I mean, and they can too. They could put the S Pen in the case. A big one that I want to see is they could put S Pen support on the front display. And I'm hoping that comes next year, right? Because if they really are going to push this, oh, the front display keeps getting wider, the front display is bigger, then let me use the S Pen on the front too. The number of times, and because I come from before I got into the whole fold thing, right? I had a Note 9, and I loved it because the screen off memo and all that stuff. You just pull the S Pen out, boom, you can write on there. You can't do that on this thing. I mean, it does have screen off memo, but of course the S Pen only works on the inner display. So what's the point? If I'm going to be opening the phone, then I might as well just unlock it and use it, right? It makes no sense for me to be like, oh, let me leave the screen off, write a memo, and then I'll close it again. Like, no. If I'm pulling my phone out to do something quick, I'm not going to open it. I'm going to use the front display. And so to me, it makes way more sense to have S Pen support on both displays. And I'll just say this too. If they had done that with this model year and not changed the cameras at all, I'm talking kept the same cameras as last year, but offered S Pen support on the front display, I still feel like that would have been a way bigger upgrade than what they've given us right now, which is just a slight minor improvement to this. Or even better, S Pen support on the front display and a bigger battery. You could even make it only like 200 milliamp hours bigger, right? Because it's 4400 right now. If they gave us 4600 milliamp hour battery and a more efficient processor like it has, well then you'd really have something special. So I'm done ranting, guys. I know I've told you guys like 5 times I was going to let you go and it'll be the end of the stream, but that's just my thoughts on it. They need to improve that. If they can successfully stop making the same phone every year, they will actually start selling these things. Oh, and then of course bring the price down. But at the very least, right, if you're going to sell me a phone that costs $2,000, at the very least it should be getting better every year, noticeably better, right? Because right now, this is what, this is a nerd phone, right? We can safely say that. So right now, if I go to one of my non-nerd friends and they're like, "Oh, dude, what you got a new phone? What is that? Is that it? You're saying you got a new phone? It looks the same." And then I gotta go there.
Actually, if you look at the specs, this part of the phone is actually better than the old one. And if you look right here, you can see this microscopic change that nobody else would notice.
It's like, if you get a new phone, you shouldn't have to use a microscope to see the difference between the old one. And I realized that the old days of like, oh wow, the new one looks like 10 million years newer than the old one. I get that isn't going to be the same, but you can't seriously tell me that there's nothing you can improve on these, right? That's what Samsung is essentially saying by making the same phone every year, is they're saying this is the peak, the pinnacle, the end stage, maximum development of the of the folding platform for a phone, and it can't get any better. And I'm sorry, I just refuse to accept that because it's just not true. I'm not a terribly intelligent guy. I don't think anyway, right? But I've just pointed out to you in the last 5 minutes, at least like 5 different things they could have improved, right? So I just refuse to believe that their army of engineers and scientists and designers don't also know that. I think they do, and they're just kind of phoning it in, like I said. So, rant over, but that's where I am with it, and hopefully we finally see some huge improvements or changes in the 7 as far as the Fold goes. But anyway, guys, if you liked it, be sure to give me a like. Share it if you want, if you like my ideas or whatever. And if you want to see more, including my thoughts on the software, setting it up, and then a review, feel free to get subscribed. I don't know what the time scale is going to be for that. I'm just going to be honest with you. Because I am traveling, and because some of the areas I'm traveling through in the Midwest and stuff like that, I don't have great internet, so it could be a little dicey. And also, when you're traveling and going from stop to stop, you don't have a lot of time to do stuff, so it could be a bit. So be patient with me, but I promise you I will give you my thoughts. And certainly if I notice anything negative or positive, like overtly negative, overtly positive, I'll make a video about it. I'll talk about it. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate the support. And until next time, thanks for watching.